Welcome to the Single at 40, episode 1, first podcast ever. We're here in Honolulu, not in the Philippines, but we're starting our first podcast, and bear with us. Here we go. So the first things I wanted to go over is the mission statement for Single at 40. We've broke it down to basically 5 things. The number one thing is inspire bold living. And the thought behind that is we're encouraging people to step out of their comfort zone and just do different things to try to improve their life. The second is value time. Time is our most valuable asset. We only have a set time to live and be on the earth, so you might as well enjoy it. The third one is promote travel. The whole Single at 40 thing started over travel. The podcast is going to have a lot to do with travel. So we're trying to just get people to go out, step out of their comfort zone, like in number 1, and just travel the world, see how far the US dollar can take you. The number 4 is support growth. Through Single at 40, we met a lot of people that are on social media, a lot of people on our team, and we want to help promote anybody that wants to do what we're trying to do, create a community of social media people just all over the world, wherever we go. And the 5th one is give without expectations. We believe the more you give, the better your life will be. If you do it without expectations, makes it even better. So I'm here today with Glenn, our producer and filmmaker. He's mic'd up, but he's in the background.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So a little bit about the history. So we started traveling to the Philippines, when was it, back in 2014?
Hey, your first trip was in 2014.
I think I went first with Albert Tenora in 2014. And I had a great time, but I remember calling Glenn and telling him he needed to come. He'd obviously been to the Philippines as a kid, but he hadn't been back in years. He wasn't too into flying, so he didn't end up coming right away. But it's one of those things you just had to be there to understand it. I tried to explain it to him, but you just had to come. And then fast forward, what was it, a year, 2 years later?
Yeah, I believe 2016.
2016, Glenn comes across the Black Eyed Peas guy video on Facebook about It's More Fun in the Philippines. Guy saw the video, changed his mind, called me up. I remember the day. I was driving home from the gym, said he wanted to go, and we started planning. We called up the White Monster, asked him if he had a passport. Before I could finish, he said, wherever you're going, I'm in. And then the first trip, I guess, was that October 2015?
2016.
2016. So we all got on a plane with Albert and Daddy Mikey, and we flew out to the Philippines. And for lack of a better way of putting it, it changed all 3 of our lives, and we've been going ever since. It's obviously now 2024. So that's how we got started on the travel. Over the years, we, got better at what we were doing and started traveling to different places and learning about what we liked and didn't like. So started going places like Boracay, El Nido, met great people in both places, and been doing those types of trips ever since. We're fortunate now we can go 3-4 times a year. So we never really thought about doing social media or documenting it. Glenn has always been into gadgets, so he always had cameras, and he would document some stuff just for our own fun. And he'd make a video after every trip that we started going on, maybe 2 or 3 trips in. And then COVID happened, and we couldn't go anymore, and spent 2 years without going. That was a rough time. And then we started going again right after COVID. And I think maybe 2 or 3 trips later, I don't remember exactly why we started, but we started talking about trying to make money other ways and wanting to move there and live more a free life, I guess you'd say. And so we got the idea of starting the YouTube page or the YouTube channel, and that's Single at 40 that you've seen on YouTube, and that's how that got started. We got the name from a friend of mine named Felipe Castro. I sent him some of the videos we were making, and he's a guy that's in a relationship, and he basically said it must be nice to be single in your 40s, and that's where the name came from. So that's basically the history of it. So with the podcast, we want to get out and start interviewing, friends that have gone with us, people that have gone there. We want to go to the Philippines on our next trip, do some interviews with the team we have there. We got a lot of great people that work with us there that you've seen in our videos: Bernie, Red, the Single 40 Angels, the entire Cuesta family. So we'll do some more interviews once we get there and add to the podcast. We're going to try to do it like weekly or as much as we can and just see where it goes. Once this is posted in the comments, if there's any topics people are interested or they want to hear something about our travels or whatever you want, just feel free to ask, and we'll we'll cover every comment or every question that people ask. We'll definitely go over it. Looking into the future, I mean, we want to expand it more travel, fitness, mindset, all those types of things that we're into, and just try to spread, the joy and happiness that we've found through all of this stuff. So that's the basic of it. But our next trip coming up, we're gonna be in Boracay for about 6, 7 days, spend Christmas there. My sister, niece, and nephew are going to come for their first time in the country, so excited to show them that. Then we're going to jump over to Bohol for a couple nights, and then we're going to come out in Angeles and have a great time. We're planning a big party, possibly at a small resort. We're going to try to do it big with a DJ, catered food, have our tattoo artist Aaron that you've seen in our videos there tattooing people. We're gonna do some, competitions, maybe dance competition, maybe a bikini contest, stuff like that with the Angels. One good idea that we've talked about is, one of the grand prizes is bringing a winner and one of their chosen guests on our next, island hopping trip, wherever that may be. We've booked out another trip going back to Thailand in March. Matt will be coming, the monster will be coming on that one. So whoever wins that contest probably be the June or September trip that we have coming up. So more into like the podcast stuff. I mean, we just want to try to talk more about what our channel's about and like what we think and what why we're doing it. Uh, there's a lot of different podcasts and not necessarily podcasts. There's a lot of different YouTube channels that cover Angeles and cover that entertainment district and we kind of wanted to do something different. We want to do what we like, and what we like to do is have a good time. So that's what you see in our videos is us just partying and having a good time. But we learned early on from the guys that first took me, Albert, Mikey, Danny, all these guys, that the more fun you can have is just by taking care of the people and, spreading the wealth. And it's such a good country where you take care of people, they'll take care of you. And we've been trying to push that as much as we can in our videos and try to show people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity towards Angeles and the girls that work there and the entertainment district, but people just got to understand it's a business and if you can't figure that out, you probably shouldn't go. We want to make everybody look good. Everybody's there for a reason to have a good time, and all the people working there are trying to show you a good time, and you can't lose sight of that. And we've noticed that a lot of people seem to lose sight of it. So that's another reason we wanted to start the podcast is to talk more in depth about our mindset when we go there and how we try to promote positivity and help the people because they're there to make money and we realize that and we're there to have a good time so we help them make money and together we have a good time. Hopefully we can get some of these other vloggers on the podcast. There's a bunch of them out there in Angeles I'm sure that people follow that will watch this, and if you have any ideas of people you want us to interview, let us know. We'll try to reach out to them and see if they're interested in jumping on the podcast or making a video with us because we're all about collaboration. That, like we said, number four is support growth, not just our team and the people we like. I mean, we're willing to work with anybody and support growth across any social media platform we can. And there are some good guys over there shooting pretty cool stuff, and we want to get involved in that. So the giving without expectations, the fifth one, I'll bounce back to that. We're trying to do different charity events. You've seen two videos that our teams put out over there. And those are all, homegrown ideas from the people over there that wanted to help their community. Those ones are fun because me and Glenn don't get involved in it. They set up the whole plan, the budget. We fund them the money, and then they go out and film the thing and do what they want to do. And it's been great. We even did the dance one with Red and his dance group. That was a pretty cool video. That's something he's super passionate about. Me and Glenn aren't really big in the dance culture, but we became fans of it after that video. Check that one out. I probably should know the video name so I could tell you, but I don't. I don't. We're unprepared on the first episode, but maybe on the next one we'll highlight a couple of videos and talk about them. That's one thing we plan on doing. But and then we'll jump back to the value of time. We learned during COVID, we had a short road trip before COVID happened, and then COVID happened and basically cut us off for the 2 years. And so we've always tried to keep that mindset that this could just end, no matter what happens in the world, something could stop travel. And we never planned on, a worldwide pandemic. And I remember even talking, me and Glenn were working out of the gym, and Matt called us. We had a trip planned in March, the year of COVID, and we were talking about how we were going to go no matter what because the COVID thing just kind of hit the media And Matt called us and said, there's no way we're going on that trip. It's a global pandemic. And to be honest, I didn't even know what a fucking pandemic was. I don't know about you, Glenn.
No, I didn't.
And I remember 2 days later being at the same gym, and that's the day the NBA shut down, and that's when everything kind of became real. And you guys all know the rest of that story. But so valuing time is what we kind of pulled out of that because we had a trip planned and it ended, and for 2 years we basically just had to grind and stick on Honolulu, and we couldn't go anywhere. So every trip we try to keep that mindset, even though we're there for one last night or whatever, we try to, have as much fun as we can, do as much as we can because if it ends, it ends. Hopefully that never happens again. So back to number one, and that's to, inspire bold living. That's more just a whole mindset and the way you carry yourself day to day. I mean, we try to do stuff every day that is uncomfortable, when it comes to working out or dieting or even making these videos, just stick to getting better every day, and that's what we want to encourage people and inspire people to do. And I mean, myself personally, and I'm sure Glenn too, like I've been inspired by a lot of people on social media, YouTube and whatnot, your David Goggins, even Joe Rogan's story, all these guys different stories of basically just trying to get better every day, and that's something we try to live by. And if we can help do that like people have helped us by watching their content, I mean that's what it's all about. Obviously trying to make money is cool and all, but it's more about just telling our story and helping people try to get to the mindset we have. Because speaking for myself, I've found so much joy and happiness and doing this and traveling and having these experiences. So if we can share that and even just get one person to, get outside of their comfort zone and try something new, and if it helps them, that's what it's all about. I don't know, Glenn, do you have any people that you've been inspired by or you've watched and
No, I mean the biggest thing for me was I mean during the pandemic, we spent a lot of time on YouTube, looking at different locations and obviously I enjoy the travel and trying to showcase the travel that we do and the islands we go to. And I mean it started out kind of just to show my family and friends like where we go and how some of these places are pretty cool. And I mean there's no specific person, but I mean the Philippines, it's obviously inspired me to live better and try to make sure take advantage of the time we have here. So
and that's the cool thing. It's like different for everybody. I mean, me and Glenn obviously have a lot of common interests and we do this together, but we each have our different reasons and different things that motivate us. And put in the comments or tell us what motivates you or ideas you have, and we love to hear new stuff and try new things. uh Back to the YouTube thing, Glenn just kind of reminded me, like after our first trip, I never really used YouTube other than I worked with a guy years ago who used to play music videos during work, on his computer to listen to music basically, and that was like my extent of like YouTube. And I remember when we got back from the first trip, Scorebirds Hotel used to have these weekly pool parties on Saturday. I think they do it now once a month or something. But Glenn started looking at those on YouTube and started sending them to me, because we couldn't be there, so we were kind of living through that. And that was my first thing of like looking at YouTube. And then we started using it as a search engine to like check out different places to visit, different hotels. That's when we set up going to Boracay. And after our first Boracay trip, which was kind of planned for us because we didn't know any better, we wanted to go back because we had such a great time, and we met our team over there, Fred, Ben, James, and all their family. And so we were all excited to go back, and we got on YouTube and started researching, and we found the Heenan Hotel chain, and we figured, that's where we wanted to stay. So YouTube has been a big part of our research of all the different places we've gone, from Coron to El Nido to all these different places in the Philippines, Puerto Galera, even Manila. And now we use it, for Thailand on research on where we're going. So it's a pretty cool tool. But so I mean, back to the history and all that stuff. I mean, it's been a crazy ride and experience, and that's why we want to keep documenting it. Um, Talk a little bit about like the journal you kept after your mom passed, and because that motivated me when you told me about that.
yeah,
You were just kind of stalemate in life, and we weren't really doing anything. All we did was work. Glenn moved out to Hawaii, and go ahead.
yeah. Basically, when my mom passed, what helped me get through a pretty rough time was writing down some of my thoughts And basically, what I was feeling, going through at that time in my life, when I look back at it a couple years later, like the common theme I was telling myself was I needed to do more because basically all I was doing was working. I was pretty consistent, like writing in this thing once a month. And then I noticed right around in 2016, after our first trip, it became like every 6 months and then like once a year. When I look back at the traveling to the Philippines, it had a big part in my healing uh, and obviously growing as a person. Basically, the Philippines provided happiness and joy. So
Well, that's why it's number one on our mission statement, inspire bold living, because even back then you knew you needed to do it and you
yeah,
weren't doing it. I didn't have, a journal or like the deep thoughts about that, but I definitely had like an emptiness in my life where it was like, it can't just be work and that's it. We both played college football. And when you get done with a sport that you played your whole life and you're not a professional, you kind of hit a position of like, I don't know where to go and what to do because your whole life leading up to finishing college was, school football. And so then we got into the professional world. And don't get me wrong, we have good jobs here and we enjoy our work, but we had to find something else. And I didn't know what I needed to find, but it kind of found us. So that's probably the coolest part about all this. We're hoping on the next podcast we do, we get one of the old timers that took us to the Philippines for the first time and do an interview with them because without that first trip, I don't think we would have ever found it. So that's the crazy thing is like we always talk, me and Glenn always talk about life, like football, it's like a game of inches, like the small decisions and the small things you do totally affect your future and your outcome. And if, I didn't go on that first trip with Albert, I would have probably never, I mean, I didn't know shit about the Philippines. Like, I knew Glenn's family was from there and I knew Manny Pacquiao was from there. That was about my extent of the Philippines. I had no idea it was such a beautiful country with islands and it was so much fun. So, going out on that first trip opened my eyes to it and opened my eyes to travel. I never had any interest to travel either. I don't know about you. Like, I didn't travel much outside of California as a kid.
yeah. I mean, financially, I just didn't have the funds to just do it like we do now. But yeah, it wasn't a big part of my upbringing. So
Yeah, the financial of it, part of it makes travel difficult, but there's a lot of good people out there that show you how to travel, on a budget if that's what you're into. We've been blessed where we haven't had to travel on a tight budget. We started on one, but over time we've made more money and funneled more money into our travel, which has made it better for what we like to do. It's all about what makes you happy at the end of the day. And some people like to do that and live on a budget and travel on a budget, which we understand and respect, and we like to do it the way we like to do it. So how much time do we got rolling on this thing?
we've been about 18 minutes, so it's good.
18 minutes.
Just talking about the Philippines, that was good times.
Yeah, we can't. I think we're about 46 days away from our next trip. That's another thing we do. We always have a countdown to the next trip. It's a good way to keep yourself focused and motivated on the day-to-day grind, and time flies by. Back to our value of time, our weeks go by super fast, but we always have a countdown going. And I think today we're at like 46. So, I even have the countdown for the next trip. I think that's 122 days from now. So we stay focused on that. Um, we've brought a bunch of different people with us over time. Some have had a great time. I mean, everyone's had a great time when they came, but the only person that's ever came back is Glenn's cousin Alan, who's about to move there. So once he gets settled over there, we'll get him on the podcast and talk about his experience of living there. We've never lived there. We always talked about it, but right now we got a good thing going, so we're not going to change that. But I guess we can wrap up the first one in 20 minutes. We'll get better in the future. Bear with us. Keep watching. And like I said, put in the comments questions or stuff you want us to talk about or cover, or even if you want to get on the podcast with us, let us know. We can try to figure out how to do the Zoom style, podcast and get your face on the video and talk. So we're open to everything. Single at 40, guys. Thanks for tuning in and keep watching the channel. We'll keep putting out cool shit. Have a good day.
Thanks.